Are you still stuck inside? Has 2 months under a roof made you afraid of that big yellow ball in the sky? Well, good news. Netflix just came out with a new film, Extraction, which is probably the best no-thinking, feel-good action movie of the summer. Anyone remember the 70s? Star Wars, which was then just Star Wars, not yet A New Hope, it came out and it ushered in the summer blockbuster season, full of action and adventure movies. Then, at some point, it slowly drifted earlier and earlier, and I think it was the Marvel movies that really made April the new beginning of summer. Which is great, because Extraction stars Marvel favorite Chris Hemsworth. Nothing better than having Thor in your action movie. So what's this movie about? Well, good news, return viewers. Instead of rambling on forever, this will be a very short plot summary. Okay, so you have Drug Kingpin A and Drug Kingpin B. Drug Kingpin A is currently in jail, either in India or in Bangladesh, but I believe it's in India. It was a little confusing where we were. Then he's got a kid. His kid is obviously rich. He goes to school. And his rival, Drug Lord B, kidnaps his kid, Ovi. So this brings in Chris Hemsworth's character. Chris Hemsworth, he's a scrappy, down on his luck, just wants to die because his kid died of cancer type of character. I don't know what happened to his wife. I think maybe they got divorced or something. So Chris Hemsworth's character, hell, why don't we just call him Thor? Okay, so Thor's all depressed, although not fat in this one. And instead of, seeking the help of whatever Australia's version of the VA and different mental health professionals and maybe some, career coaching or something like that, he decides to work as a merc, black ops, infiltration and whatnot. And he's working for this private company that picks him up. His boss is a very hot Indian lady. And she says, okay, you're going as long as you're sober. Now, first of all, why would you have a guy who's constantly drunk? That just seems like a bad idea. But at any rate, it's a movie. Chris Hemsworth, his character ends up in Dhaka, which is the capital of Bangladesh, and he's trying to free Ovi. Actually, theoretically, there is supposed to be a buy, but it's an extraction. Chris Hemsworth and his team are going to get Ovi out of there, and it gets complicated. It gets complicated mostly because Ovi had a bodyguard. This bodyguard is the one who hired Chris Hemsworth's team. Now, this bodyguard was ex-Indian Special Forces, so now Chris Hemsworth is trying to escape with Ovi, trying to get them out. Meanwhile, you have Drug Kingpin B, and all of his forces, which include a lot of the police, are trying to capture the kid and Thor again. He's also fighting with that bodyguard. Now, eventually, after getting shot up, Thor decides, okay, we'll call the bodyguard and see if he can help. And eventually, the kid gets back home, and Thor gets shot up on a bridge. And that's about it, with the exception of a small part by David Harbour, who, of course, just happens to live in the capital of Bangladesh, even though it makes no sense. You have a lot of money. You have a pension from the military. You were doing all this black ops work. Why are you living in Dhaka? I mean, I know it's got to be a cheaper cost of living, but come on, dude. You can go to Thailand. You can go to Arizona. Anywhere's got to be better than there, right? And not only that, this guy decides to live in the slums of the capital of Bangladesh. Why? Open sewage, buddy. Go somewhere with plumbing. Of course, David Harbour betrays Chris Hemsworth, and, it doesn't really matter all that much in the end. Extraction is a lot better movie than it has a right to be, and that's due to its pedigree. What's its pedigree? Okay, the writer is Joe Russo. Now, Joe Russo, for anyone who doesn't know, is one half of the Russo brothers who took over the Marvel movies after Joss Whedon left. So we see them taking over at Captain America Winter Soldier, and into the future. Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. Those were all the Russo brothers. Now, Joe wrote the screenplay. Okay, the screenplay is not very intelligent. You don't have to think about it. Like, guys, you know when you're looking for that perfect action movie that you can take your girlfriend to? Like, it's got enough of a story and maybe some kind of a romance to keep her interested while the bullets are flying. This isn't it. This is just all action, and it is awesome. In addition to Joe Russo, this is the directorial debut of Sam Hargrave. All right, who's Sam Hargrave? Well, Sam started as a stuntman. He's been in a lot of stuff, but his big break was on Winter Soldier, in my opinion, the best of the Marvel movies. He played Chris Evans' body double for a lot of the fight scenes. Okay, he then went on to become the stunt coordinator and designed a lot of the fights for a lot of those later Phase 4 Marvel movies. Well, this is kind of the payback, I guess you'd say. Joe is hooking up with Sam, and this thing has a real John Wick vibe. So much so, there is an 11-minute fight scene in an apartment block. Holy crap, is it amazing! If anything, you should watch it just for that. As far as action movies go, this is almost perfect. I mean, if this were released in theaters, this easily could have been one of the best movies of 2020. And not because movies died in movie theaters only after like 3 months. No, this would have been a great summer movie. I don't know about the beginning of summer, but like that late August, early September, you're like one last gasp before you got to go back to work or school or whatever. That's how good it was. So we have really interesting scenes. I'm not super familiar with India, and I'm definitely not familiar with Bangladesh, so to see them as backdrops for action movies, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of Middle Eastern stuff, occasionally some China stuff. Yeah, this is nice, something new. The fight scenes are incredible too, and you know it's good. You know they got a good stunt team because most of the people are wearing masks. They're like cops, and then they're got their whole faces covered, even though they're in the tropics. So that means they've got like somewhere between 5 to 10 really good stunt people that they keep reusing over and over. The same way they did with John Wick. The John Wick movies, if you notice, there will be scenes where everybody has long hair. That's how they start. And then there'll be some other scene where everybody's got a shaved head because they keep changing the haircuts to make the stunt guys look different. And if they can get away with it, they'll have them wear masks. So in a perfect stay-at-home movie checklist, this has got it all. It's got Thor, it's got great locations, great action, it's got a hot Indian lady with a very low-cut shirt shooting guns. It's just nice all over. Now, the one potential downfall. Okay, it's spoilers. You could just stop here if you don't want to hear the end. But at the end, Chris Hemsworth dies. This seems to be a one and done type thing. I don't know when they shot it. Chris Hemsworth had announced after the last Avengers movie that he was going to be taking a break from movies for a while to spend more time with his family. Then this comes out like a year later, so I don't know what the deal with that is, but I guess he's back in the game. And the problem with this is it ends with him getting shot multiple times on a bridge, falling over, and he has visions of his son, who had died years before. Okay, great, lovely, but that's it, right? That's a nice ending to the character. Nah, since it's done so well, it looks like Netflix is going to bring it back, which I assume would be with Chris Hemsworth. That would just be terrible. Look, I like action movies, but they're only good when we have a sense of fear, when maybe the main character is going to die. You know, if they stepped it up and they had his buddy in there, kind of like The Substitute. Anybody remember that? The Substitute 1 was great. Then they had like Treat Williams for 2 and 3, and I think maybe they had Substitute 4. Those were all great films, but it can't always be the same guy. Let him go. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Definitely check out Extraction on Netflix. Great movie. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, still give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And subscribe for more content in the future.